Welcome everyone to the new video. As you can see, Corksport performance lowering springs for the 2019 Mazda 3. I'm getting ready to start on the wifey's car here. This is obviously a before lowered. I took some measurements and wrote them down so we have a reference point. I'm going to try to give a little bit of step-by-step walkthrough installing these springs. I really haven't seen anybody doing it. Corksport does come with a great set of instructions, A to Z. I don't think they missed anything. It's a well put together manual on how to do these springs. This car is really simple. It's a normal front suspension. The back does have a single axle across, I guess torsion system is what they call it. But it looks like it's fairly simple with jacks to do it. It's just mainly removing the shock and then lowering the arm down. So it's not too bad. It's almost like a swing arm, control arm, just one big one. Normal tools to do this. You're gonna need a jack or two, some safety stands, your breaker bar, impact. You do need spring compressors for the front struts, and then of course assortment of tools and probably some other things. Hammer for getting that strut out of the compression joint. But I'm gonna get started on this. Stay tuned, for some updates throughout the installation. Tell you what I encounter, how hard it is. Like my other videos, and stay tuned because at the end I have a big surprise of how I revealed the springs to the wife and how excited she was. But there's another surprise. If I get this done before she gets home from work, she doesn't know this as I'm doing this, but I also got her some fancy new window trim and a spoiler for her trunk. And she hasn't seen that or has no idea that I'm doing it. So it's going to be like a whammy of things done to her car all at the same time. And I should get her jumping for joy. If she lets me be on video, that is. So I'm going to get started here and, get the hood open and we'll get going. Stay tuned. This is going to be this is going to look good on this Mazda 3. Once you start digging into here and you get the bracket off that holds the brake line hose and the ABS line, you want to spray some WD in here because this is going to be sliding out. And this, when you're taking the sway bar and link off, if you only have one side of the car jacked up, this is going to have pressure on it, and this is going to be at a real steep angle, and you won't be able to push it out. So I only work on one side of the car at a time, but I do have to go jack the other side up to get the car level, basically get both wheels off the ground, and then that takes the stress off this. And I did find earlier moving this out of the way and flipping that like that was easiest. All right, I'm doing the first side here, guys. I just thought I'd show you. Here's the new spring installed. It did not have to be compressed to put it on, but in order to take it off safely, when you remove that top nut, hat, bolt, or nut, it could go flying. So I did have to use the spring compressors there. I did not have to remove, this is not stretched, I did not have to remove this ABS thing here. I did remove the assembly. The hardest part was the lower control arm pressed in knuckle. And let me see, what I did was I took this and I put it like down through here on top of it into a safe spot, like on it right here, and then hammered it down and boom, 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 popped it out. And per the instructions, it wants a towel wrapped around here. There's like a rubber boot like this down here, and you don't want to risk puncturing it and getting contaminants and losing your grease. Other than that, the assembly falls to the side and it sits on this, so you don't have to get underneath it with nothing to hold it. All these lines are not pulled tight or anything. And then, of course, removing the pinch bolt all the way out, because it does go through, it does go through down here. So there's no way you could pull this out without that there. But as you can see, it's about 3 inches of travel, and this moves to the side. Now I'm gonna take this, put it back up and in, and then get it pushed back down in here. And probably use a jack from the floor, maybe. I try to do it by hand. But that's just like the mid update here. It's going fine. I'm removing that lower control ball joint was the hardest. But it did pop right out with just hitting it with a hammer. Just switch side to side to side to side. Just never try to pry it off of this. All right, keep going. Difficult part of this installation, but I got it in. It fell in place. Now I got to put the pinch bolt back in, and then we're good to go. You have that bottom assembly in. The jack is going to go underneath this, all that metal there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the weight of the car to pop this in. Now, the most important thing you do before you try to make this, force this in, is that this is in the correct alignment, because there is this part right here that will slide down in between the grooves. So if this was either way, it would stop it. So I'm going to make sure that this is, the little indexing tab on the back is in the right spot before I apply pressure to get this to seat itself. All right, guys, I thought I'd show you about halfway through this solid rear beam axle thingy, instead of having, its own control arms on each side. So with that in mind, both sides have to be done at the same time. It's not that difficult. The instructions that came with the springs are very thorough, tell you exactly the size sockets you need. So once you get that bottom shock undone, there was also some loosening of some brake lines, not draining them or anything, just loosening them from the firewall. And so the bottom shock bolt, both sides. And then this whole assembly is just kind of assembly is just kind of bouncy. And the spring perch is this, and there's a rubber one up there. So you can see how it has to come, that's like a nipple sticking down about an inch and a little bit. So basically, all I found was just pushing down on this as much as you can and just literally rip the springs out, and it says push towards the middle, and then they popped right out. The next project I did was I had to take the shock off, which is what I've done right here. And it's highly recommended during this install that you use an impact wrench to get that off. And you really need an impact wrench on those front struts too when you're doing the spring compressing and stuff. It's just so much easier. But what I'll do is I'll take this apart really quick and I'll show you how you have to trim down the the bump stop in here. Now I can't film and do this at the same time, but here's that rear shock dismantled. Use the impact wrench to get that nut out, just comes right off. I don't think it would do it by hand though. I think it would spin the strut, which is bad. Anyways, as the instructions say, it says cut right above the black ring here and leave this part on. So you're just basically shortening this almost 2 inches on this bump stop. So I'm just going to use my cordless Sawzall and just put it on here and turn it on. I'll hold it with my other hand. So I can't record that. I'll show you when I'm done. As you can see, went through it like a breeze. Literally took about 3 seconds. And now I'm going to reassemble that and put that dust boot back on. All right, this is the final wrap up of the rear. I figured there's going to be a lot of questions about this since 2019 went back to this solid across rear axle torsion system. A little strange, but they say it makes it handle better, and it does. We really like the way it turns in and the way it goes around corners. The most important thing, as you can see at the very bottom of the blue spring there, that it falls on that plastic perch where it's supposed to. I'm going to check that alignment once I get the wheel weight on there. Likewise, up at the top, there's just a little nipple hole for the rubber to fall into, but other than that, the blue springs can go any position up there. So mainly are aligning it at the bottom, the springs aligned, at the top, the rubber's aligned. So got the rear shock bolts back in, top and bottom, torqued properly. The book says exactly what to torque everything at. So, I thought this rear would be a lot harder, never doing one before, but it turned out to actually be just the same as any, kind of a single control arm type setup, really. I did not have to remove these plastic panels underneath this aero shield, dust shield. It didn't get in my way. I don't see why you would have to do it unless you wanted to jack a lot. You wouldn't want to jack through that plastic. But anyways, I'm gonna get the wheels put back on and get this thing set down, drive it, settle it out, make sure everything's good, and then I'll do a kind of conclusion to this video and I'll do some measurements. Don't forget, guys, hit that like and that subscribe button, and gladly we'll get back to any questions you have as fast as I can. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped. It's the reason I make these videos. And here it is, all said and done. I love it. I absolutely love it. I thought the wheels were going to be sunk in a little bit more than I liked, but I'm actually pretty happy with it. I mean, a different aftermarket wheel with a little offset might help
a little, but this looks amazing. The springs lowered quite a bit more in the rear than the front, but looking down at my sheets right here, we got about 1.5 inches drop in the front and almost 2 1/4 drop in the back. And that's what it needed. It really needed more drop in the back. I still say it's front lower, so the car still has like a rake to it. I really didn't have any complications doing this install at all. I would say the hardest part was that front lower ball joint, getting it released, hammering it out, and also getting it pushed back in. I think it was done. I'd put it on a hard scale, but 2 people would make it a lot easier, and especially on a lift where you could get underneath there and stand up and do some pulling and angling. So I'm really happy with the end results. I can't wait for the wife, Hope, to see this. She's been excitedly waiting for this to happen and scared because she's never had a lowered car herself. But I just got done driving it and it handles great. There's no extra squeaks, bumps, knocks, or anything. These springs are phenomenal and the car is suited for it. It handled a lot better even in my short couple mile drive. So real excited about her reaction. We're going to get that this evening. And like I said, we got some more surprises for her in this same video. We're going to do this, the window sunshades and the spoiler for the back top that she does not know she's getting. So stay tuned. Right after this end, I will show her reaction to seeing this for the first time with all those other parts added on. She's going to be super excited. I'm a lucky guy that she loves cars as much as I do. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, I really appreciate all the subscribers and the comments. Everything seems to be positive with the Mazda, the Honda truck, the Supra. I'm really enjoying doing these for everybody. So stay tuned for a little bit more of this video. I know it might be a little long by now, but her reaction should be priceless. So, and I'll have separate videos out of installing the sunshades and the spoiler. Are you ready for your car? All done. Here it comes. Are you gonna wait till it's all the way open before you open your eyes, or?
Oh wow, look how low it is. Oh my god, you put the things on these too. Honey. Oh, it does have a new spoiler. I love you. You ordered all that already. Oh my god.
What do you think? Well, happy 4th of July. You worked hard today. So did I. How do you like it lowered?
I do. I love it lowered. Oh my god, it's beautiful.
Isn't that wing amazing?
Oh my gosh. How did you do that?
Just did it.
Oh, oh my god. Oh my god.
I knew you'd love it.
I do.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, people.